And it will be interesting fact that we have the same amount of spectrum as a nation as, say, US or Europe, because every country has the same amount. But we have not deployed it for producing or laying the foundation of a digital economy. We have created artificial scarcity so that companies can outbid and they can, pay a premium for a smaller chunk. And it's a sad fact that, when you look at the spectrum allocation, we are the lowest actually in the region, which is also, because that's the easiest way to generate even dollars from the airwaves. But this has to be a very thought through plan from a policy viewpoint, that how you would like to leverage it. What is more important? Is it to building that ecosystem which will generate a lot of prosperity, GDP growth? We have also seen from the keynote speech, there's established facts that increase in mobile broadband penetration directly results in your GDP growth.
Sure.
Same is the case with the financial inclusion. As more and more people are under documented economy, they will generate more towards GDP. So these are all established facts. What we need to do is to actually come together, do a consultation process, and think of a longer term strategy and a policy which can actually act as a catalyst for I would say the startup ecosystem, which is extremely important with a country which has such a big, large youth contribution as part of the digital dividend. How can we enable them? How can we equip them with the opportunities where they can play their role towards the development of Pakistan? Sure. And that is to create that ecosystem where the opportunities are created for them. So I think this has to be a bigger part of the national agenda. Right now, unfortunately, we all are working in silos. We're looking at short-term objectives. That has to change, in my view.
Leading from that, from Dr. Hamid, from an FBR point of view, as Irfan aptly said, data penetration impacts growth, economic growth, which ultimately yields higher revenue for the FBR and creates a more prosperous state. Something I've particularly noticed, I moved back from the US about 2 years ago. Comparatively, Pakistan's data rates, especially at the ISP level, are some of the highest. And on top of that, we've levied taxes, both at a provincial level and at a federal level, which essentially is curbing this growth. So is there any consideration at the FBR to revise that policy? I know we offer oil subsidies and subsidies in other areas. Is this something that's under consideration?
Initially, the tax policy people were very wary of this sort of business because we were more comfortable with physical stocks and physical things, and we've been trained to tax that. So initially, the response of FBR was not very favorable, but in last 2 or 3 years, we have introduced multiple tax exemptions for this kind of business. The digital business faces about 3 types of taxation. One is the income tax, the other is custom duties at the time of trans-border transactions, and the third is the sales tax, which is largely provincial matter because and this is considered as service, and hence the services sale tax is levied largely by Punjab and Sindh. So on the income tax side, we are cognizant of the fact that first we have to somehow protect the startups because there is high startup failure rate. So hence we have given 3 years exemptions to startups who are using this technology-driven products. So this exemption is available for the minimum tax also and for their normal income tax also. The limit is 100 million should be the turnover. More than that, we are not as yet offering that sort of exemption. But we think that the startups are not that big to start up, and hence we've given this exemption of 3 years to them. The only requirement is some technology board, software board approval, and they get this exemption. On the other side, we have also supported the marketplace. In marketplace, we have offered them 1/3 of the turnover tax rate on income tax side, and also their commission income liabilities is 1/3 of the normal. So we have given on the retail side, we are not offering any exemptions because we think that on the retail side, the already established businesses who are using this method of cash on delivery or other methods, it is actually reducing their costs. And hence, on retail sides, there are no exemptions, but on marketplace side and on the startup side, income tax. And in the negotiations with these people in Ministry of Commerce, we were pleasantly surprised to know that there are no major issues with income tax. On the side of custom duties, there are problems. On import of things, they are generally finished goods which are being imported in Pakistan, and hence they suffer this 16 to 20% of custom duties and the RDs and the additional custom duties and maybe sale tax, etc., which are levied on imports. That is basically driven from the negative trade balance that we are suffering now. We have some foreign currency reserve crunch, and as a result, this government is trying to, in the short term, we are trying to retract our imports. The import compression is one of the aim of in the very short term, and so there are no concessions offered on that, but hopefully in 2 to 3 years' time, when the fiscal space increases, that will also be offered. On the export side, there are no custom duties and no taxes, but there are some regulatory issues. And the last meeting with these people, we agreed that we'll be using this V-box system of customs in order to facilitate their exports. The largest problems are coming from the provinces, because since after 18th Amendment or after 2011-12, the provinces, the PRA and SRB are there. And since they are competing with each other on taxes, they offer different rates. The standard rates at the start was 17 or 16%, then the Sindh government offered 14, then Punjab also tried to match them. So there is a need of policy harmonization over there. And in fact, in the long run, because of these sort of services, it will be very difficult to identify where is the host and where is the destination of sale. So, and obviously the cross-border, the Pakistani diaspora is asking for nishat linen, is asking for khadi products. So it will be very, very difficult and the disputes will increase. So in the medium term, we should look at a single tax authority which is dealing with these things, and the money can be distributed through some new NFC award. But there's multiple sort of authorities collecting taxes will create more and more problem, because there will be simultaneously claim from Punjab and from Sindh and from KP and from Rajasthan and from Kashmir and from Federation on a single transaction, which will be disastrous for Pakistan. So hence there is a debate going on that we should go for a single taxation authority so that these problems can be come over. But the other concern that we have is the typical Akerlof asymmetry of information problem, because the startups as well as the other businesses which are into it are not in the habit of provisioning for their taxes, and hence they see that we'll only pay tax on demand. So that is the problem that we were at the office of Uber a month back, and we are lifting up computers of some other organizations. This is the problem that they have this data, but as the transaction takes place in some open source environment, that cannot be traced. The real accounts are only with the owner, and since the management is not that professional and account keeping for tax department is different from the actual, so we are also facing this dilemma that there are no third party verification of who has earned what income, and so that the correct taxes can be levied. So that is the problem, and we are trying to find a solution. Ministry of Commerce is taking the lead, and some of the things have been already incorporated in law, and some more changes will be coming up in this coming up budget of 2019-20.
Just to add to the startup point that was mentioned, we started a program for mentorship of startups and getting some funding, software or cloud funding for the startups, and it got stuck because apparently none of the startups had a tax ID, right? So we took an exception and we went to the incubators, and guess what? Even some of the incubators didn't even have a tax ID. So, agreeing to that we do have, some silos in place, and there's goodwill in the process, but message to the startups and even the incubators as well that, when you talk from an international perspective, a tax ID or a basic taxation entity is kind of a must. There's nothing, it's unheard of that you would not have carry a tax ID with you. So just adding to that comment, I mean, we do face certain challenges when you're trying to bring in some foreign investment into the country and initiate a program. It hits a roadblock on challenges like that.
Can I just quickly add to that? I mean, there is actually, one understands that some people may be trying to sort of not pay their taxes or to evade, or just like you said, Dr. Hamid, like pay taxes on demand. There are some concerns with regards to compliance being too complicated as well. I mean, a lot of people would not file for an NTN because they will feel that this will put us under a scrutiny which is going to be so burdensome for us. What we basically need to do, of course we need to create awareness, but we need to create a system which makes it very easy for anyone to just pick up a mobile phone or just open up a website and file an individual or an organization's taxes. So that is something that needs to be done as well. Now, with regards to your concern, I would like to slightly touch upon that as well, that the issue of e-commerce taking place in so many jurisdictions, and then the provincial and the federal authority sort of then creating a plan as to where does the tax lie, who does the tax belong to, what is the origination of the transaction, where is it eventually landing. The UAE government, when last year beginning, when they implemented their value-added tax, they came up with the solution. And I mean, in the simple tax form that they have, there were a lot of fields. Initially, I looked at, okay, why would anyone to put, like, there are 7 emirates and you need to sort of put down every detail. So what they were doing, they were addressing that problem. And where they are now heading is eventually, and maybe just probably by 2020, they are going to put everything on blockchain. So when the transaction, when you go and make a small transaction at the retailer, it will automatically be connected to their inland revenue, and if anyone who should be getting the fair share of tax that belongs to them will be parked into their account. So those are the things that we need to do, and I am aware of one initiative which was taking place at FBR, which was integrated tax management system. So I think those are the things that perhaps we need to move forward with.
Let me inform this House that by the time the next return becomes due, we are working on a wizard and an app for filing of return. The return will remain the same, but the fields which will be appearing for, let's say, for a salaried person, he'll be in and out of that filing of return in 2 or 3 minutes. Excellent. So only the relevant field will be appearing to them. And similarly, we were getting a lot of, we wanted a lot of discrete information which was not required. For example, the utility bills, the people used to add up all their monthly bills to reach the figure which they wanted to declare. But this time we'll be giving some range that your monthly or annual bill was 100 to 200,000, 200 to 300,000. So the range will be accepted, which you can, without consulting, you can give a ballpark figure. And third initiative which we are doing, inshallah, will be ready by 30th September is pre-populated returns. So we'll be giving you the information which we have about you, your transactions, your car purchases, your property purchases, your utility bills, and your salary and your tax deducted, your children's education, all will be pre-populated in the return. So we'll give upfront the information we have. We don't want to tax you or catch you after you have given a wrong declaration. We'll help you in reminding you that this thing has taken place and you have done such and such thing. Kindly be mindful of the fact while filing your returns. So we are going for this ease of doing business. We already reduced the number of withholding tax returns from 12 to 2 And ultimately, maybe by next year, we'll be only requiring one return on that side. We'll like to combine the sale tax, income tax, and FED returns into one form, so that people should spend time in doing their business and not waste their time on filing their tax or attending the tax offices.
Very welcome initiatives, I must say.
Thank you. I personally appreciate that, because after I moved back, it took me 6 months to compile my taxes, because the accountant asked me, can you describe the furniture that you possess? So we went through an inventory list. But I think it's time for us to wrap up our session. I'll get a closing thought from each one of the panelists. One thing I would like to say is, tying into the previous panel, is that as data connectivity improves, that is going to change the way this country overall performs and grows. And I think we're really poised with our demographics, where 70% of the population is below the age of 30. That means there's a high chance of technology adoption, as we've seen with tools like WhatsApp. Education and correlation usage of technology is not necessarily that strong. So therefore, even the masses are using WhatsApp, using voice notes and their own mediums of communication to communicate with each other. And as data improves, with 5G essentially coming in and eventually downstream as the technology becomes more affordable, and we have the cloud essentially close to us, that'll help us in documenting the economy and create all sorts of avenues for growth that today that we're limiting to just brick and mortar and manufacturing. With that thought, just parting thoughts on e-commerce, where each of you see it going, and just overall about technology. I'll start with Noman Saab.
So as I said, it's a new field to which perhaps we are not well conversant with at the moment. And we need to understand, and I think and I believe that there has to be laws which must be harmonized in a way so that anyone entering into the e-commerce business should be doing business with ease rather than facing problems. FBR is facing problem, we might be facing problem with reference to the source, the person where it is actually present physically. So I think that harmonizing the laws is something which we should focus on to deal with e-commerce.
I remain very optimistic actually going forward but just by leveraging technology, I think we can truly transform not just e-commerce but the entire journey towards truly a digital economy, a knowledge economy, which will add significantly to the GDP growth of the country. It will remove inefficiencies, it will enhance productivity, it will offer opportunities for citizen services, the example which we heard from FBR today as well. And I think the future will be much better than our past.
I think the e-commerce or digital economy is there not because of some government initiative, not because of some hurdles produced and some ease of business provided by FBR. It is there because it is a successful business thing. It reduces the cost of startups. It is something which will expand because of its own reasons, because of its own momentums, and no tax authority can stop it, not it can discourage it, encourage it maybe, but I think this digital economy will be there despite the government authorities or regulators or tax authorities trying to stop it. I'm not saying that we are going to stop it. We want to encourage it because of the very fact in the keynote the speaker said that the gains in the GDP growth are more in use of digital technology because of the low costs. So hence it will be there not because of me and you, it will be there because it is a successful business model.
Thank you, Faisal. I'm extremely positive about what's going to happen in this country in terms of the technology growth and how this country especially can leverage. Countries that are not fully developed or on the path of development can leverage technology for the best growth. If we look at models of many developed countries, e-commerce has not, or digital technologies have not given them the kind of growth it has given to sort of underdeveloped countries, whether we look at South Asia, Southeast Asia, even China, and even African countries. So the way technology can be leveraged to make anything accessible and to connect people, to transact, to communicate, and to share services, I think we are in a very lucky position here because of the demographics, because of not fully developed, because of how people want to interact with each other. So I see extremely positive growth. So it's a very opportune time for Pakistan to leverage technology and move forward really fast and sort of helping everyone sort of achieve their goals. And it sort of ticks a lot of other boxes with regards to empowering every person in the country, empowering every community. We know that in our culture and in our society, like a lot of women cannot go out to work. Now e-commerce, this digital technology has given them empowerment. They can work from their homes, they can do the transactions, they can do business. So it's sort of given marketplace to them. And also where the physical infrastructure is not available, e-commerce has sort of connected all those places as well, like I say, the last mile of the country. And finally, I would like to add the human perspective as well. I think digital space and technology has made people a lot happier as well. I mean, you wouldn't want to be out on the road driving in traffic and just be stuck in traffic, or just sort of, I mean, you just look at Google map and you can see where the traffic is, where there's more traffic. You're not going to adopt that route. If you want to order food at your place, you can just, you have now so many apps to do it. So I think it's going to improve, and it has improved, the happiness index of the country as well. And that's extremely important to sort of measure as well. Bhutan, fortunately, is a country where they felt that more than GDP, they need to look at the happiness index. So now you can, I was reading this morning that Grab, the Singapore ride-hailing company, they have introduced this service called Grab Pet. Like even you can send your pet to the vet, like, so it's just creating, it has really improved the quality of life as well, and has made people happier. And of course, just sort of the parting thought, we all stakeholders need to work collectively together, because all of this is contributing positively to everyone's agenda, whether it's the government, whether it's the regulator, whether it's the technology company, e-commerce, the marketplace players, everyone. So I feel it's great times for the country and for the people, and this is really the right direction to move forward.
I think great thoughts have been shared, and I've shared the same sentiment that there's great potential out in the market. The wave is there to stay. My only comments would be that you need to pace up as a country. You know, do not reinvent the wheel. There's great technology out there for you to do whatever you want to do. You need to pace up, and it's no more a discussion about enabling yourself or automating yourself. The next question is personalization. So any big retailer out there, the consumers are becoming very demanding. They don't want absurd calls or products being marketed to them. They want to be focused, what age group do they belong to, what are their liking, preferences. So the competition is getting much, much intense. And if you want to compete at that level, we need to pace up ourselves, use the experience that other countries have already done, and kind of take a leapfrog from what we are right now. And the technology is there, the platform is there, there are a lot of good players out there in the market, local and international. It's only a matter of willingness to do and get up to where we deserve to be.
Thank you. I think we'll open the floor up for Q&A. Sure. Right there. I think Mike is here.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saifur Rahman, Director General Overseas Pakistanis Foundation. Thank you very much. But I would like to draw the attention of the Because a lot of overseas Pakistanis come to it, we talk about the ease of business, we talk about the e-commerce and everything, but when they come to Pakistan and they come for 2 or 3 weeks to just to get, what kind of business they would like to start. And some of them, they come back to me, Saif Saab, hum wapas ja rahe hain. Thank you very much. Because recently one gentleman came and I spoke to the chairman, BOI, he was very kind. He met our senior officer in the ministry. Then they wrote a letter to the government of Punjab. Ghoom phir ke wapas aa gaya, Saif Saab, thank you very much. The point I'm trying to say is for the FBRS, Dr. Saab, can we do something? Can we help those overseas Pakistanis? They would like to come, they want to invest in Pakistan. There are a lot of potential abroad. When we talk about overseas, I'm also saying the overseas investors. We say that the country is ready for investment. I'm sure everything is, that we welcome. But there is need to, we talk about one window facilitation center, but there is unfortunately none. So I would also request the private sector, they can also take initiative. Ali said very good thing, the collectively we can do. It's not the government job also, but also the ACCA can take initiative. How can we help? Sometimes some website, just a gentleman who wants to come from abroad, what initial things he has to know. They don't even know what taxes they have to pay. So this is my request also, that if something can be done about these people, they've got a lot of potential, they're very patriotic, they want to come, and now the new government has come and they are very keen. Another thing I would like to also request the ACCA, I was discussing with one of my colleagues that next year maybe they can also have one forum for the Pakistani diaspora business leadership. Because there are a lot of overseas Pakistanis abroad, and if one of them would have been here, I think they would have been delighted to see so many things here what have been discussed. The excellent the program they have made recently, the Move About Pakistan. I'm telling you, there's a lot of potential which we are missing abroad. Finally, I'm sorry, but we should also invite some of the top business students, at least 10 to 15 people in this next meeting. So at least those business students should see what our leaders are doing. Because there's a lot of misperception about the negative impact about Pakistan. So we can at least, that youngest generation, maybe one student from one top university from Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll take another question and then we'll ask the respected panel to please comment.
Thank you. A very thought-provoking discussion. My name is Umar Zahir Mir. I'm the chairman of ACCA's Members Network Panel and managing partner taxation at MLCC. My question is actually directed at Dr. Hamid Atiq Server. It was very good to see your thought process, Dr. Saab, with all this tech and the focus. But a person of your experience and caliber would certainly appreciate the key issue here is the lack of confidence. You have mentioned the harmonization, or actually the lack of harmonization, which needs to be addressed, as well as the structural reforms. We are doing these tech-based projects, which are fantastic and would help certainly people like us. But we have a big segment of society which is not, due to certain reason, and would not, despite these initiatives, prefer to come within the ambit. Reason being the subjective nature of our laws. Just to highlight it for our audience here, one of the key reforms that ACCA's taxation committee has been making regularly is there is a particular clause in the income tax rules which speaks about the attachment of accounts. It has to be only done in the cases where there is pertinent information or an absolute surety of the threat that government exchequer would be endangered and suffer a loss if this is not done. But practically, you and me are both aware that this is done in almost all the cases, and everyone suffers the consequences. So you being in the capacity of the member policy, what steps do you think and how quickly are being taken to address these issues to ensure that there is actually some steps taken to minimize this trust deficit with the general populace? Thank you.
So these are tough questions for Dr. Hamid Saab. I'll take the easier one, if you allow me. The first gentleman mentioned on the inviting the foreign mindset. Like I said, I'll leave the tough part on the investment to Dr. Hamid Saab. I'll take the easier one. We as local entity, I'm a foreign entity based in Pakistan. you're right, there are a lot of good Pakistanis who want to come back, want to contribute to their country, and when they come here, the culture at times and the taxation is not really relevant. However, we've seen a change recently when we have taken a step ahead. So there are a lot of brain drain that's happening from Pakistan to international markets, US, Canada, Saudi, but there are also very good Pakistanis who want to come back and work in an individual capacity manner, like a consultant or a Oracle, along with one of some of our technology players, we are hiring people from outside right now. So if you are on my LinkedIn, we have some job postings on the LinkedIn. And interestingly, the most dedicated and passionate person we found for the job was someone based in Saudi who wants to come back for family reasons. So it's a very interesting country. We went out of the way because when you're coming back from a foreign country, your joining cycle is a bit late. You probably need 2 to 3 months time to see. So we are doing that on a kind of individual level or a local company level. That's happening. And if you know any good Pakistanis who are technologically very advanced, you're more than welcome to connect them to me, to us. We have other technology players in Pakistan who want to absorb these in individual capacity of that individual. So that's happening because the brain drain in Pakistan is enormous. 15 years back, when we gave an advertisement for a good technology resource, experienced one, there used to be numerous hands raised for that. Now we find kind of a shortage in terms of experienced, qualified people, because the moment you have done 2 or 3 projects with a big giant like Oracle, Google, any one of those, your market adoption or absorpability in international market goes really high, right? So we are already working on those fronts, and we are ready to kind of extend our timelines or give them additional kind of space to play wherever it's possible. Please feel free to connect such talent with us, and there are other in the group as well, the local partners who want to absorb such talent coming back to Pakistan. Now it's up to you for the difficult part of it.
Before, just a one comment. Anybody who wants to make investment in Pakistan and they are struggling, just drop us a line and we will connect them to the right people. One advice and I'll encourage that, always engage a professional to assist you, that if you will try to do that in a 2-3 weeks by yourself, you may not be able to connect the right dots. So, and anybody struggling, advise them to just connect with ACCA. We will ensure that they get to the right people and we can engage the right professional who can assist them. So thank you.
So about the first question, the lead department is Board of Investment, BOI, at the federal level as well as at the provincial level also, and they at their website and they offer this help. But and FBR also on website has given these incentives at one place. But the problem is that we as a government cannot tell you the culture and the informal side. I'm not talking about the informal side of gatekeepers and money seekers and rent seekers. I'm talking about the way of doing thing in Pakistan. Maybe we are culturally a tribal type of people. We want to do work of people whom we know, and we the other people whom we don't know, we don't want to do the job. So hence the need of a third party like ACCA or like KPMG or somebody who tells the non-residents or the expatriates about the cultural issues, how they can get their job done the informal manner, again not the bribery thing of paying money, but the ways and means of doing these things in, let's say, which are taking 20 days in 2 days. So there should be some third party, because the government compulsions, government will never be offering you that help of the informal things which you need to know about investing in Pakistan. Otherwise, if Pakistani people, about 90 million of them, are doing the businesses over here, so somehow there must be some ways and means to do business here. So that is why the ACCA and the other third parties can help them. On the other side, on the second question, we are very cognizant of the fact that this is happening. The trust deficit is again very, very cultural and rooted back into the history. So something done wrong 20 years back or 10 years back will also comes and haunts us, because that are in the hearts and minds of people. And so the trust deficit, despite the fact that in last 10 years we are looking at the figures, we've only done 1% population audit. So, but the feeling you will get from the general public is that the tax people are at our necks and they are doing audits and things. But factually, we don't have capacity to do that much audit. So from 2001 onwards to this year, we have done only 1% audit. High-handedness of the department is there. We are a 27,000 workforce, and obviously the actions of everybody can, but we have an integrity management system put in place, and we are trying to address this issue also. But we have also analyzed that a lot of this noise or the grievance is coming from the salaried people. So we are thinking of adding a clause that for salaried people we should not be exercising this power of attaching their bank accounts under section 140 of income tax ordinance, especially when after the resolution of dispute there is no demand. So this causes a lot of we get bad press, we get bad public opinion for that, and we are thinking of imposing some more conditions on attaching the salaried people account. On the business side, the complaints and grievances are not that much, because actually this is a way and mean of getting the tax. Otherwise, because of the British this appellate system of 5 appellate forums going up to Supreme Court, nobody is willing to pay taxes. And although our dependence on on-demand taxes is only 13%, 87% is coming from voluntary compliance. But at some times this becomes very vitally important, and we have to go for these coercive measures. Otherwise, in the good days when we started our business, our demand notice, usually in 30 days people used to pay. But because of this, I should not say it, but the judicial reliefs that people are getting, the judicial activism and the awareness and the lawyers and everything, it has become very difficult to get money from the people.